Hello, you're listening to Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. This is the News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Without further ado, let's get to the news in detail. According to UK-based transparency watchdog Chatham House, it is quite reasonable and even considered normal practice in the petroleum industry for countries to engage oil companies in the review and removal of terms contained in deals which may leave the country in a disadvantageous position. In fact, the not-for-profit organization said the refusal to do so can have a destabilizing effect on countries. Chatham House is a non-governmental organization whose mission is to analyze and promote the understanding of major international issues and current affairs. The organization, which has worked with local authorities on oil-related matters since 2015, said that new data about a country's reserves may prompt its government to seek to revise the terms of investment to its advantage. This is quite normal, it said. In other news, yesterday, a 27-year-old resident of Sophia, Greater Georgetown survived after he was riddled with bullets by men on a motorcycle who had tried to execute him. Investigators declined to reveal the identity of the victim for security reasons, but related that he had to undergo emergency surgery for the multiple gunshot wounds which he sustained to his body. A police report detailed that the men tried to kill him around just after midnight while he was standing in front of Odingo shop located in D Field, Sophia. The motive behind the execution attempt is unknown at this time, but detectives have learned that the gunmen rode up in front of the shop on a red and white motorcycle. They reportedly approached their victim and started an argument with him. Get the full details in today's Kaieteur News. And moving on. Helixa, Inc., one of America's giants in providing technological solutions for the health, water, and green tech industries, recently announced that it has formed a strategic alliance with Vitality, Inc., a seasoned Guyanese company led by socially minded entrepreneurs. Following the announcement, it was noted in a missive to the press that an engagement was held with several ministers of Guyana and officials attached to the United Nations Children Fund. This meeting was organized by Anton Narain, a prominent business leader promoting bilateral relationships between Guyana and the U.S. companies. In other news, eNetworks Inc., Guyana's only locally owned telecommunications provider, announced yesterday that it is building a fiber optic cable from Guyana to Linden. This move is the latest in a series of milestones the company has achieved in massively expanding its network to bring better services to more people. With the expansion already in progress, eNetworks said it anticipates delivering a significant boost in connectivity to many rural areas along the Linden-Soosdijk Highway and Linden. The eNetworks team, comprising CEO Vishak Prasad, Chief Technical Officer Gerald Singh, Chief Commercial Officer Abu Zaman, and Project Lead Yannick Charles, visited Linden on Saturday, September 18th. During the visit, they inspected the progress of the expansion, including poles already planted on the ongoing fiber network build-out. And moving on, the family of Sigmol Gavaya, a laborer, has been thrown into a state of mourning after learning that he was killed during a brawl at the Loop Stelling by an unidentified man on Saturday night. His brother, Neville Gavaya, a security guard attached to the Stelling, is now left hospitalized. He tried to defend his brother during the incident. According to police reports, the brothers were attacked sometime around 20. It was reported that the two detectives that about 23 hours 10, a vessel had arrived at the boathouse with 3 unidentified men inside. There, one of them exited while the remaining 2 stayed on the boat and headed out back to the Demerara River. A short while after, a verbal confrontation ensued between Gavaya, the deceased, and the unidentified man, as he was told that he could not use the area for passage. He was then advised by one of the brothers to call the persons in the boat that left to pick him up from the area, since he was not authorized to pass. The man reportedly made the call, but another heated argument erupted between them and the brothers, during which he stabbed Gavaya about his abdomen. Upon seeing this, the security guard ended up in a scuffle with the suspect, which resulted in him being stabbed as well. Meanwhile, Sandrama Raju, a 29-year-old woman who was set afire by her husband about a week ago, succumbed to her injuries on Saturday around 19 hours. Raju, a lab technician formerly attached to the Skeldon Public Hospital and a mother of a 5-year-old girl, was reportedly set alight by her husband, Gaishwar Shio Chan, following an argument they had on Monday, September 13th, at their home in Port Morant, Berbice, Region 6. And now let's tell you, two motorcycle bandits armed with a gun yesterday rode up to a sweetie vendor at her stand and robbed her of her cell phone valued at $55,000 and $15,000 in cash. The vendor, a 44-year-old woman, was robbed by the men around 20 hours 30 on National Avenue, South Rheinfeld. We understand that the victim was selling confectionaries when the bandits came from a western direction and stopped at her stand to purchase some items. However, she told investigators that the bandits had a gun and pointed it to her and told her to stay quiet. And now for your COVID-19 update, followed by the page 7 of the Kaieteur News that's dedicated to being blunt. Since the emergence of the dreaded coronavirus within these shores, Guyana has recorded 713 COVID-19 deaths. Worryingly, some 227 deaths were recorded within the last 3 months alone. As COVID-19 cases and deaths continue to rise in the country, some 109 women and 118 men lost their lives between the period June to August 2021. According to a Kaieteur analysis, a breakdown of these figures show that 81 deaths were recorded in June, while 40 being women and 41 being men. In August, 78 persons lost their lives due to COVID-19 and 39 persons being women and 39 were men. It should be noted that most of the deaths recorded between the months June to August were persons from Region 4. If the increased cost for the whale site of the gas-to-shore project, as warned by Exxon, isn't a problem for the PPP government and its oil leader Bharat Jagdeo, then billions in other inflated costs submitted by Exxon do not matter either. Guyanese just pay. It is not Vice President Jagdeo who is paying. This explains why Exxon has been aggressive with submitting expenses in any slapdash manner that doesn't meet international standards and gets away with such rapacious practices here. It is because the PPPC government and its oil leaders do not care. After all, it is the Guyanese taxpayers who have to pay, not them. And with that, we've come to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands.